Good morning, student. Today we will start our new topic about the software use, which includes in us our subject software engineering. So let's start with our screen in which we can study about the how we will use our software. So our topic is a software reuse. It is a part of a software engineering. So basically a software reuse is in most engineering discipline, systems are designed by composing an existing components that have been used in another system. Software engineering has been more focused on our original development, but it is now recognized that to achieve a better software more quickly and at a lower cost, we need a design process that is based on a systematic software reuse. Next point, there has been a major switch to reuse-based development over the past 10 years. In engineering, we try to use our software in a term of a reuse by composing or existing system. We apply in our new system. We implement that component in our new system. So that is basically focus on our original development unit, but with a certain addition or with a certain amendment, we can reuse our software component and build a new software. And these kind of a development we are doing from the last 10 years. Reused based software engineering. Reuse software based engineering is comprised of a system reuse, application reuse, component reuse, object reuse, object and function reuse. So system reuse, that means a complete system which may include a several application program may be reused, in which we reuse a whole system and its several application which is already in our system will be thoroughly applied in our system and we can reuse in a fairly manner. Second is the application reuse, and the application may be reused either by incorporating it without changes into other or by developing application families. Application, that means we are generally reusing our application. Reusing application means that there are certain apps with a little bit updation and editing our feature, we can reuse our application. If suppose in a Microsoft Word 7 there is a little bit difference with a little bit addition or some feature, we comes with the Microsoft Word 10 version. So that is of the concept of an application reuse, and every time we will make our changes in our application by little bit adding more feature so that it could be incorporate that feature in a very presentable manner. Next is a component reuse. Component reuse of an application from subsystem to single object may be reused. Component of an application, that means the whole application will not be reused, in which we take a certain component from an application and we reuse and apply that component in our software while developing our software. Next is the object and function reuse. Small scale software component that implement a single well-defined object or a function may be used. It doesn't mean that we are applying the system or application in the whole form. We were just making an object and function reuse. That means object is any in the form of a data or in the form of a field, in any form, we can reuse that object, and also the function. Function could be any method, procedure, which will be implemented in a well-defined way. So it could be in that way. We can reuse our functions and objects. So benefit of a software reuse, benefit is accelerated development. Bringing the system to the market as early as possible is often more important than overall development cost. Reusing a software can speed up a system production because code development and validation time may be reduced. Accelerated development, by reusing concept of a software, we increase the speed of the development of a software, and it reduce our cost, because whatever the cost incurred in our development of a previous software, in our current software, the cost of that particular development of a software will get reduced, and validation time is also reduced. That's why it is a cost and a time efficient one. So it accelerated the development of the software. Next is effective use of a specialist. Instead of doing the same work over and over again, application specialists can develop reusable software that encapsulate their knowledge. That means we can use effectively. Effectively, that means the same work we are applying, same work we are doing again and again, whatever specialists are doing, it should not be a redundancy task by our developer side, because they have already an idea, they have already have their core concept is already clear, so they don't have to find out the new thing in the development of a software. Whatever they have the previous experience of their previous outcomes, they can easily apply for building the new software by reusing the specialist features. Increase dependability. Reuse software which has been tried and tested in a working system should be more dependable than new software. Its design and implementation faults should have been found and fixed. Increased dependability means that the errors and bugs which we find in our earlier phases of our development of a previous software, that is already been resolved, that already been fixed, and what were the challenges we faced in the development of a software, these will be that tiring task or the whole procedure for tracing the bugs or fixing the bugs will be erased. So it increases the dependability also. Next benefit of software reuse is a lower dependent cost. Lower dependent cost, development cost, sorry. Development costs are proportional to the size of the software being developed. Reusing software means that the fewer lines of code have to be written. That means development costs are proportional to the size of the software being developed. Reusing software means that fewer lines of code have to be written. Whatever the changes or editing any kind of a code, we have to add on a certain code lines rather than starting or writing the code from the scratch or from the beginning. So it's reduce our development cost because the code is already been developed. After addition of 2 or 3 lines of a code, we can ease our task. Next is a reduced process risk. The cost of existing software is already known. Where is the cost of a development or always a matter of a judgment. There is an important factor for project management because it reduces the margin of error in project cost estimation. This is particularly true when relatively large software components such as subsystems are reused. Reduce process risk, that means the risk we have faced in our previous development of a software and the cost we estimated by development of the software in our previous development is just the thing that we are reducing our risk because we already reusing our software and the component we have already used that in the particular previous software we are applying in our current software. So processing risk has already been reduced. Next is standard compliance. Some standards such as the user interface standards can be implemented as a set of a reusable components. For example, if the menu is in the user interface are implemented using a reusable components, all applications present the same menu format to the user. That means a standard compliance, that with the standard user interface which we are applying in our application, they can be applied similarly without alteration. That means that if the menu item we have used, we can apply in other application also, because that menu is the standard interface. The interface which is a standard applicable to any other applications. Now, we shall discuss about the problem with the reuse. Problem with the reuse is creating, maintaining, and using a component library. That means populating a reusable component library and ensuring the software developer can use this library can be expensive. Development process have to be adapted to ensure the library used. Because we are studying about the concept of a reuse, that means we have to create a library which consists of reusable components. And this reusable component will be extracted from that library, and according to that, we imbibe into our new software development. It can be expensive because the maintaining of a library is difficult part, and reusable component library and ensure that software developer can use that library, and it should be adapted to each and every platform. Earlier, the platform might be if the certain developer has produced any kind of a software project in Unix platform. Now we want to use a component of that application which is running in the Unix platform. Now we want to use that component to run in a Windows platform. So that component should be adaptable. So these kinds of a problem we generally face creating, maintaining, and using a component library. The library is just like when we are holding our all the components for reusing purpose. Next is a finding, understanding, and adapting reusable components. Finding and understanding, that means a software component have to be discovered in a library, understood, and sometime adapted to work in a new environment. Engineer must be reasonably confident of finding a component in the library before they include the component search as a part of their normal development process. That means finding means that we have to find out, or we have to study about the components. What are the features involved in that, in which we can adapt our in a other environment. So it has to be discovered. We have to understand the basic nature of the component. If we used to apply, we are reusing in another kind of application, whether it would be going to be the successful, adaptable one in a new environment. Because sometimes that component will not work in the new environment. So we have to take care about the finding and understanding while reusing our component from that library. Next is an increased maintenance cost. If the source code of a reuse software system or a component is not available, then maintenance cost may be higher because the reused element of the system may become increasingly incompatible with the system changes. If the source code of the reuse system, that means already the maintenance costs automatically got increased because we are keeping into the maintaining each and everything in our library. It increases our maintenance cost. So the main thing is the incompatible with the system changes, whether it's going to be the compatible one with the other platform or not. So these are the automatically increases the cost of the components. Now next topic is a type of a software reuse. Type of a software reuse is consists of a application system reuse, The second is a component reuse. Third one is a function reuse. And if we come for the application system reuse, so reusing an entire application by incorporation of one of the application inside another, that is a course reuse. We can reuse the entire application. By incorporating means that we can include our application into another application, and we can use that application into a single software or application. For example, they have that is a COTS. COTS is product that means a commercial off the shelf system, and are mainly for the complete application system that offer an API. API is that is an application programming interface. By building a larger system, by integrating, for example, our in e-commerce system, we can integrate multiple application into a single application. In that way, we can reuse our software. Development of our application families, that is a MS Office. Next is our component reuse. Component, that means example subsystem or a single object of a one application reuse in another application. That means we can integrate our one application into another application. Function reuse, that means reusing software component that implement a single well-defined function, in which we reuse our procedure. That doesn't mean that we have to apply the whole procedure, whole system by reusing it. We can choose a certain function or a method. It doesn't mean that we have to apply the whole features of our software while building our new software. We can use a certain few functions and procedures and reuse that function, and this is a in a well defined way. Example of a reuse type of a reuse is reuse of expertise. There is a never any substitute for experience. Can't get it from a book, only from my experience. Lesson learned are invaluable and quite reusable. Reuse of expertise means that we can take the experience of the experienced person. Those experienced person we can't replace with any other one, because they have already generated the code in a very efficient way. So that we can't find in another books, or so we can see that their experiences or their expertise into a library. So lesson learned are invaluable and quite reusable. So this is also the one kind of a reusing. So it comes under the reuse of our expertise. Next is the reuse of a standard design and algorithm. We generally reused our standard design and algorithms also. The previous algorithm is already generated by our experts or our scientists, and the flowchart, DFDs also comes under the design. And we already getting the idea in which pattern we have to put our feature into it. So this in the reuse of a standard design and algorithm has been adopted. So in which we can reuse it. Reuse of a standard design and algorithm that comes under the architecture pattern. We can follow the architecture pattern. That means architecture, we can adapt that architecture and apply in our development of a software. So it comes under architecture pattern. Design patterns means we can follow the DFT and ER diagram which has been created by some other person. Now we are adopting in our designing purpose or reusing in our development of a software. So next is a reusable specification even. That means SRS we can also reuse it. SRS means systems requirement specification. Whatever the requirements set for the development of a software, we can reuse it. We have nothing to create on it. We have nothing to generate another requirement. We can reuse in that way. Next is a reuse of a library of a class or a procedure. Means a huge library of a reusable subroutine, subprogram, data and structure class, powerful commands and much more. We can also reuse the subroutines, program, functions, data, class, structure, objects, commands. We can all reuse it by development of a software. So this all about the software reuse, which I have discussed, and what kind of benefits we will get in while developing any kind of a software. Thank you for listening.